Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to you. You're watching Encounter, and today with us in the studio we have Danyal LeFevre, who is a yogi. Danyal, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And you practice yoga, you eat, you sleep, you breathe yoga since a couple of years, many years I would say.
A couple.
And I should point out that you're the youngest guest I've had on this show so far. It's very impressive. Thank you for being here. But I have to ask you, how did yoga come to you, and at such a young age?
As anything in your life, things just unfold as they do. Some things you think you choose, other things you just come in front of you and you just have to deal with them as such. And from a young age, I was never immersed into the science of yoga or even religion in any way. My parents never threw me any, tried not to condition me in any way. As to religion, as to ways of thinking, my mother always felt that it was best for me to just follow my heart's guidance, so to speak. What was vibrating, yearning into my heart of achieving, every passion I had, I would completely immerse myself into it. Be it, I loved dinosaurs when I was young, or wanted to be an archaeologist, paleontologist, Egypt, the Middle Ages. Every passion I had, I would really dive into it through books, through, if I could go to these places where I could learn more about it, and I really went into it very deeply. And I was quite lucky in that sense. And when came the time for studies, I went through the French system, as my father was French. And as I didn't know him, my mother felt it was good to immerse myself in this culture in a way. So I went through l'École du Nord and Lycée des Mascareignes. And so not as much of a conditioning system, keeps you quite open-minded and yearning to discover the world and especially yourself, more about yourself in a way. So when time came after the baccalaureate for choosing studies, I went for international relations, which was more akin to what was living in me, which was a passion for history and understanding the world. With some friends, we banded together to create an NGO within our school or university, and to contact local NGOs. Mainly, we contacted in Togo, Burkina Faso. We would ask for their needs, and literally was generally extra personnel to help out. And came the time for an end of year.
For a dissertation?
For more than dissertation, you had to complete your studies, to confirm them, you had to do somewhat of a thesis.
Yes.
A big dissertation about any subject, and you had to go through an internship. And I was quite fortunate because someone from the university, but 10 years back, had heard about our little NGO. And she thought, hey, she came into one of our meetings and she said, hey, well, I've got this project over in Bolivia, and there's no...
South America.
South America, which I'd never ever been to, nor America or anywhere.
That's in a corner of the world.
Yeah, it's on the side of the world for sure. She told me, hey, I've got this little project there, and it's been 2 years, I haven't been able to go because I've just had 2 kids, and I need someone to check things out, literally. So I said, hey, I'm definitely interested, never been there, and you're offering for sure. So I went over there, and for 3 months, I stayed in this small, tiny village up in the Andes, in the Bolivian mountains, 3,200 meters up high. Once in a while, I would go into the city and meet some nuns, which had lent me their space in the mountains in El Terrado. They were too old now to live there. And literally, they were sisters from Carlos de Foucault, which is a branch of Catholicism, a nunnery, monastic order. And literally, they were very interesting people. They had a friend also with whom they had banded together and created a center for, they would call it un centro de biosalud, a center for natural healing kind of thing. And they would work with plants, doing lots of potions, I would feel then, and different energetic healings and things like this. And their associate would do yoga courses. She would go to yoga courses. So when I went into the city, she would say...
So the yoga was already present there. That's where you discovered yoga.
Yeah, the thing is, I never went so far west and never felt so close to my Eastern roots kind of thing. It was quite intriguing, very randomly, coming towards certain people, certain experiences, which really directed me back into my own roots kind of thing. And I discovered yoga during 2 courses. It all started like this.
Yeah.
And after I went through this and came time to go back into the village where I was working, I bought this little booklet with all sorts of postures. And only after I realized that these postures were going to constitute what afterwards I would continue with my practice, because the masters with whom I connected through my present path were actually preconizing
Those postures.
those postures. So it was kind of like fate kind of thing.
Okay.
For me, it's very important to start off the day on a positive note,
Exactly.
with some postures, with a certain practice, whichever it may be. The more time, the better. The more time I can afford myself to invest into energizing myself, giving myself more energy, more presence to myself to achieve better in what I do after is very important for me. But then again, just like one of my masters says, which is Swami Shivananda, he would say, there's a little song which goes like, adapt, adjust, accommodate, be a good, do good, be kind, be compassionate. Then it goes, bear insult, bear injury, highest sadhana. And like this, the idea is just like whatever you go through in life, life kind of forces you to adapt in whichever way. So
Surely.
if you have, especially at the beginning of your practice doing yoga, you can be very somewhat rigid. I was rigid and very much ascetic in which way I chose to focus my practice in a way.
Are you saying mentally, physically, or both?
Mentally and physically, in the sense that for me, there was this aspect in yoga which says that you have somewhat to renounce to everything, that you have to, this is all Maya, this is all an illusion, and it's just, no, get away from it. Get away from it, it's evil kind of thing. And this led me to kind of decide to cut away from everything. And like this, I found a small book called Paris pas cher, cheap Paris,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And there was like a free meditation, Buddhist center. I said, oh, that looks cool. Let me try it out. So I went every Wednesday, and every Wednesday I would just keep telling myself, okay, Wednesday you got meditation, just go to it. And every Wednesday would be kind of a different meditation, but all towards going back inside kind of thing. So it was very interesting. Different masters and different ways of going back inside kind of thing. And then went to Bolivia, yoga, this and that. Then back to India with my mom. And a friend joined me. I joined her back in the south, specifically in a Shivananda ashram near Tiruvananthapuram, which is the capital of Kerala. And just above it, you've got the Shivananda ashram, which is called Nayardam. And Nayardam, I joined her there for about 3 weeks they call it a yoga vacation kind of thing. You would literally go through an ashram rhythm.
Yeah.
In such a way that every day you would wake up very early, I can't remember, it was 4 or 5 at that time. But like this, wake up early, do your practice, yogasanas, pranayama and such. Then go about the different activities like learning times and also serving times. That means karma yoga, they call it.
Yeah.
Karma yoga, the fact of
Doing service.
Doing service,
Yeah.
doing what needs to be done to keep things flowing kind of thing.
100%.
And like this, that was the foundation of my practice. And I was speaking about this experience in South America with that small booklet.
Yeah.
It was the same postures, the same vibe to things.
But in a different part of the world.
In a different part of the world. And I just kept the same practice until this day. Because literally the usual Shivananda practice, as taught by Swami Vishnudevananda, Shivananda's main disciple in terms of yogasanas. He was teaching the yoga courses in the Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Forest Center.
So I have to ask you that,
Yes.
Ever since you discovered the booklet, you've been practicing every day. What difference has it made in your life, the fact that you begin the day with yoga, and why is it important for you?
For me, yoga specifically, but then again, it could be any practice really.
Surely.
It can be qigong, it can be just
Any martial arts?
any martial arts, or even anything which channels you in a way,
Yeah.
gets you back into your center, is primordial for me. Because, I rarely had this occasion where I told myself, hey, let's not do any practice today and go with whatever flow the day throws at me. And sometimes I did, just to experience kind of thing. But like this, you really feel a difference in terms of how present you feel, how efficient, and how well you feel, literally. So the first note you set on your day really carries on throughout the day kind of thing. It's very important for me.
What I want to ask you is, why is it important? For you it has a very special place in your daily life. yoga has a very important part of daily life. And people keep on saying that yoga is very good, you should do it, it improves your life. Uh, I just want to share with people watching us on TV, what would you tell them? Why should they also probably should start practicing yoga?
Why should they start practicing yoga?
Yes.
Everybody has the same wish to feel good and happy, literally. There are many ways to do it, but yoga is one of them, and that's the path I've chosen, so to speak. And in this way, what yoga brings, they're more the physical benefits. Is each posture is just like energizes your organs, it gets your body in the right place, your mind in the right place. It just aligns your body, mind, and soul kind of thing. So when you're aligned, like, you're unshakable in the sense that, well, if the wind blows, whatever's going on around you, if hell breaks loose, well, you know you've got the necessary energy to like cope with it, deal with it kind of thing. In the sense that oftentimes we're just swayed by whatever comes in our minds and experiences. But if we know we have enough energy to go forward and carry on the projects we feel to carry on about, or the surprises life throws at you, because oftentimes it's like this. You never know what comes at you. But literally, oftentimes what I find, what I perceive and realize is that, especially in Mauritius, there's a heck of a lot of talent.
Yes.
There's so much talent.
Yes.
Oftentimes,
They need to be channeled.
They need to be channeled.
Exactly.
And the thing is, the best gift we can give ourselves and to others is to be centered and flowing. When we're centered and flowing, when we're not out there, when we're not dispersed, but fully immersed in our own energy, we're able to more efficiently like exchange with others and with ourselves, starting with ourselves, with others, what our environment asks of us. And like this, we give the best of ourselves. So why not give the best of ourselves?
But you should also give yourself the opportunity to give the best of yourself, and to give yourself the opportunity to, I'll say that again, to give the best of yourself. That requires some homework on yourself. So this is probably how you invest on yourself, and it comes out all naturally after.
That's right.
Is that a slightly correct way of saying it?
Slightly correct way of saying it. I mean, the thing with time is that oftentimes people say, oh, I don't have time for yoga, I don't have time for this or that. But you need to take time. Like when you know something is good, or you hear it's good, and you might want to try. And like, when you try something, you get a preliminary experience. And in our emotions, in our thoughts, we have these, how to say, samskaras, like imprints, feelings, ways, feelings more like. And the more our panel of like feelings is diverse, the happier we are in a way, because we're able to expand our consciousness in a certain way. And like this, the more we take time for ourselves, the more, well, we can give time to others like this. Literally, you have to take time. For example, ideally, I'd say that we should all be yogis. That would be like what I would
Let's be
aim at.
modern yogis.
Let's all be modern yogis. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm a serious yogi. I have to. No. Yoga can be adapted anywhere. There's this practice. Perhaps you need your early morning practice to do it, etc. But yoga, it can be done any time. For example, if you don't have time for your yoga morning practice, do it in the day. Take even 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whichever time you can invest, is such a gift to yourself and to others. Like, if you don't have time, or you forget, or like, literally, we've all got all sorts of excuses.
But it's also important to find pleasure in practicing yoga. I also want to ask you, in terms of, yoga is not just going to a class, practice for 1.5 hours and get out of it and that's it. It goes beyond the physical aspect of it.
Yoga, like the word says, means union, to yoke, yoga, yoke being an English word. Literally, as I was talking about channeling earlier, this small time you might invest in yourself, like an hour and a half class per week, it's great, but it's like, it just gives you, from my experience, just the ability to like take a bit of steam out of like your daily week kind of thing. But it doesn't allow you to like gain sufficient energy to proactively engage yourself into things. And it's at that point when you start giving yourself energy, extra energy, that's when beautiful things start happening around you. That's when you start being an asset to yourself, to those who are around, because you're giving yourself this energy. And this time, you give yourself this time through which you give yourself energy to be able to distribute around you. So for me, the more there are and the more there will be people like this who, well, the community can rely upon as somewhat, not examples. I mean, I don't care about being an example, whatever. I just want to go with my flow, and know that through my practice, I'm feeling better, so I can share, kind of thing. And as I was talking about passions and talent in Mauritius, like the more you have this extra energy to bring forward your dreams, your passion, and it's very important, this passion aspect. Oftentimes, people don't have lost this connection with their passion.
Because they lost touch with themselves.
That's right. And the more you connect with yourself, the more you find this peace. Because the thing with the mind is very fickle.
Yeah.
And it moves in all sorts of directions, thinking about tomorrow, yesterday, 1,000 things.
The monkey mind.
Monkey mind.
We're always
completely.
jumping from one branch to another.
Yes. But the more you settle it down, I think the mind loves habits,
Yeah.
loves cyclicity. That's when it feels more at peace. But the thing is, nowadays, the kind of habits we're offering our minds are not so beneficial for our mind, because these habits, they negatively impact us in how our health is, how our emotions are, in all sorts of ways. But the better the habits we give ourselves, well, it's all a question of cultivation at the end of the day. What you reap, what you sow.
The homework you have to do on yourself initially.
Yes.
And it keeps on going.
It keeps on going. This practice you do for 1.5 hours, the state of mind you reach, is only like a marker. Like, okay, you've established yourself in this space. That was great. Allow this energy to like keep going throughout the day and connect with it at any time of the day, just to go back to it. For example, some people say, oh, I don't have time, I forget. A simple thing you can do is just like, okay, you take your phone and you set an alarm, like a small like bell, like ding, I don't know, every hour or something, or whichever time you feel more appropriate, just to remember, hey, let me get back to myself. Let me just like, maybe just breathe for a minute or two.
Or just be conscious of what you're doing.
Yes, just be aware of your thoughts. Just come back to the present moment. Nothing about this or that. Just, okay, I'm here. Fully present to myself. And the more fully present you are to yourself, this makes that your thoughts, which are literally, the term is kind of like connotated nowadays, but energy, like, we feel tired. Why? Because our mind, our thoughts are so spread out in so many directions. But the more we gather our thoughts and focus it in laser-like motion, this way, whatever we invest our energy into will be a lot more successful and a lot faster in this way.
One-pointedness.
Yes, ekagrata. That's right. One-pointedness.
What would you advise to our viewers, let's say every morning when they would wake up, in terms of stretching or exercising? A few tips you could share from your own experience, because you seem to be a morning person, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so those who wake up early, how can they connect to it?
Those who wake up early, preferably don't sleep too late.
Yes.
That's one thing. The earlier you sleep, the better you sleep, and the earlier you can wake. So as you wake, just be aware of how you feel. Just be aware of your breath, first of all. Simple awareness. There's these simple exercises you can do about your breath, which don't require a lot of like investment, and which you can also do throughout the day. Just being aware of like your abdominal breathing, just a full, what they call a full yogic breathing, where your abdomen, your chest goes up, chest goes down, abdomen goes in. Just simple breathing, just to be aware. What you can do beyond that, there are many ways to put it, but I usually adapt according to my situation. I speak from my experience. Either the first thing I do is either meditate when I wake up. First, maybe do some exercises like this, yogic exercises. Do what you call japa. Japa is the fact of taking your rosary. Whatever your faith, it's just a question of like focusing the mind, because when you take your beads, like beads, such.
Yeah, a mala.
A mala,
Yeah.
you just take it, and as such you would focus in your thought, your intention, your breath, and your motion. In this way, it's beyond whichever like spiritual religious connotations it might have. It's just a question of focusing the minds. All these tools which are in yoga, be it the postures, the asanas, the yoga, the pranayam, the respiration exercises, the meditations, it's all a question of conditioning the mind into something better, focusing this energy, channeling it into something else. So anything you can do in that sense is great. So I would just do my japa mala and just meditate for a few minutes afterwards, just to be in the space where it's void. Or if it's not void, it's a lot calmer than it was. And it's especially great when you do it early morning. That means before 6, before 5, before 4 would be best, whichever you can adapt kind of thing. But when there's no activity around, when there's no noise, no cars, no dogs barking, no rooster doing whatever, just complete calmness, it's a lot easier to go into the space kind of thing. So just settling down in there is great to like start off the day. Then maybe stretch in bed. A few stretches, like I have to be on the floor to do that, but literally just simple things like just literally lying down, your leg forward, and just compress your knee against your chest, turning your heels like this, just to loosen up the little tensions we may have, because a lot of tension accumulates in our joints kind of thing. Because literally, our body is, in French you'd have this word for saying illness, which is maladie, le maladie. The thing is, most of the time, we're so like spread out into like our lives, like our mind is miles away from itself and from ourselves, that we don't connect to how we actually feel and how things, events, emotions, people are impacting us. Literally how we deal with it, and not so much that the outside impacts the inside, but how we cope with things. And when we can't cope with things anymore, when our mind and our body can't do it anymore, literally, well, our body says, hey.
And you have to listen to your body for that.
You have to listen to your body a lot for that. And that's all that
Hence why the importance of activating your joints so that you ease the energy through your body also when you wake up.
That's right.
I don't think it takes a lot of time in the morning, but it's very important to get you throughout the whole day.
That's right.
Wow.
And even better, either you do that in this order, or what I would do sometimes, either when I feel really tired or just in a general sense, would be to, as I wake up, get out of bed, take a shower, a cold shower, like a really cold shower, be it winter or summer, anytime, like, or anywhere, just to take a cold shower. And that is such a simple but such a profound practice in itself, because it's so good for your health in so many ways, that it dynamizes your immune system, it reduces inflammation, it's good for a lot of like circulatory aspects in your body and your mind, because after a cold shower you really feel like empowered kind of thing.
Getting into the cold showers would already be a
That's why at some point you just have to be with no mind, knowing that the mind is chattering. It's like there's a lake and you want to dive into it. Like no, like okay, what if there's like a shark? What if like there's the rocks down there? What if you can think about a million things. Just at some point, you gotta say, okay, shut up, just jump
get into it.
Just get into it.
Fantastic.
With no words, and just learn to deal with like the impact of a really cold shower, and just like go into it very gently. Stay for a minute or two, switch it off, go into your bed, and do your stretches, your breathing exercises, and your meditation. And like this, you feel fresh and energized.
All right, so Daniel, thank you very much for being with us. We have come to the end of this episode of Encounter. Well, thank you for sharing your personal experiences with us. It has been very enriching, and I hope that the viewers will connect to all the experiences you have been sharing. Well, thank you for coming to the MBC.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of this episode of Encounter. We'll catch you again, same time, on the same channel next week. Goodbye.